Uh, well, Brian, just kind of wanted to assess where you are, where the team is now that you've been able to just have the weekend after the fifth loss of the team, and where you guys are at right now.
Well, still standing. Maybe taking a couple of punches. Look, I understand fans aren't happy. I understand maybe we haven't done, I think our fans, if I start with that, look, we've got a really good fan base. We've always had a really good fan base, educated soccer people. The team right now and, the whole renewal situation, I mean, I get it. But fans are going to come and support their team. I know that. I'm a Seattle guy through and through. I truly believe that. Even if I'm not doing a good enough job to, help get butts in the seats or whatever, fans are going to show up. They're going to continue to show up. We've got a massive game on the weekend. We're going to get through that. We're going to get through Leagues Cup. We're going to try and get back to the run of form we had at the beginning of the year. I know this club. I know this group of players. Answering your question, they're resolute. We had a nice long film session where we only showed 4 clips. But it was long because I wanted to get a temperature of what the team's feeling. And so how do we as coaches, take a little bit of the pressure off? Because I think they're feeling a little bit, it's 5 games. For some guys, it never happened to them. So trying to do what we can to, give them some pattern recognition, some specificity. Yeah, on certain movements. So, and holding guys accountable to that, because that's the other thing trying to do. We're trying to hold guys accountable for being in these right spots so that the guy on the ball has 3 options and he knows where those 3 options are inside the penalty box. We've done it throughout the course of, my time here in coaching in various different times, but this group right now we feel needs a little bit more guidance, a little bit more structure. And again, I don't mean the guy on the ball has to play it here, or he needs to play it here. Our sport's too fluid. Guys on the ball have to make decisions, but the guy who's helping, the guy who's in the right position, the guy who's in the wrong position, we're going to figure that out and try and help the team get on track as far as what do our final third movements look like, because that, again, to answer your question in a very long-winded way, that's the takeaway that we came from these last couple of games. Look, some of our build-up play is really good. I mean, we cut through teams, we get into the final third, and then we don't score. So that's the challenge. That's what we're trying to fix.
It seems like one of the areas that you've stuck with, and I'm just curious if your assessment on, is the double pivot of Snyder and Hassani. It seems like you just haven't had the same level of ball progression that you've had at other times of the year. And I guess what your level or what your assessment is, maybe I'm wrong, and what amount of patience you can have with that part of the field.
Look, I've heard some of that chatter too. Look, it's been 3 games for those 2. I mean, Christian was with us before the World Cup, and so it's 3 games for those 2. And I don't think that's a big enough sample size for you guys to talk about, any sort of ball progression Jackson's one of the best ball progressors in the league. He doesn't play the pivot role. If you watch the second half, because we flipped Tino and Stewart, if you watch some of Stewart's passing from that same position, really good. You got 2 clever 8s, 10s, whatever you want to call them, and Albert and Hayes. I don't think ball progression is a topic of discussion. I think we move the ball from back to front pretty darn well.
And so, I mean, it seems to be you kind of said that it's more in the final third where the issues are. What can you do in the final third? I mean, you have, because it doesn't seem like you're you look at the front four, and that's a front four that if you had started the season with, you would have probably been happy with in terms of D-Row, Paul.
I think we did start that way.
Right, exactly. And so, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's totally a personnel issue, I guess, is what I'm...
Well, look, Pedro's back out of training, and he's been a breath of fresh air. Obviously, Jordan's injury issues, playing, Jordan on that right side helped us against Minnesota or teams that pack it in. Now, Portland didn't pack it in, neither did Austin, and neither did Philly. So your question is a good question, and how do we solve that? Again, trying to get them to understand when Kalani gets the ball down here in the right prime assist zone, what is the movement in front of the goal, and getting that block of a guy running to the near post, a guy at the penalty spot, and a guy arriving late, getting that block of 4 players together on the same page on a consistent basis, because it happens from time to time. Then there's the technical piece that sometimes is our undoing. But that's more of what I think is what's ailing the team.
So just going back to the injuries, I mean, Pedro seemed to look really good. He was testing those shots pretty consistently. It seemed like what would you say he's at right now?
Well, he's in absolute full training for this week. It's the first time, because we've had him in full training, but modified little certain exercises. So this is the first time we've cleared him for full training, and then we'll just see what happens, how he comes out of the week before we make any further decisions.
Alex, Yamar, Christian, and Jordan.
Christian and Jordan not in full training, but Yamar in full training, and Alex in full training.
And I'm assuming you're not ready to say how available they are, or are you able to say?
We're not. I'll probably have to do that after Wednesday, because tomorrow we have a heavy session. We're gonna play some 11v11. We're gonna play bigger, and if the players in question come out of that with no, then we'll make final decisions on availability for the game in Portland.
And sort of just to come back to this idea of fans started, showing frustration. Is there any messaging that you can give? Because I think what we're seeing is sort of this. It's not just the 3 losses, it's not just the 5 losses. It's sort of this bigger sense of where is this all going?
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm a fan of the team. I also coach the team. Again, I think what I said last week or in the press conference after the game, I mean, look, I can tell you this. The conversations that we've had have been a little bit more direct, a little bit more, okay, look, we need to do something. But again, I think it's a bad business practice to be forced into making a decision just because outside forces, or look, the record is not an outside force, and I'm not shying away from anything here. I'm very pragmatic, but the club has to make a good decision. And I can tell you guys, I can tell the fans that those conversations are happening, but I can't guarantee that they're going to make a decision or not make a decision. But I know for a fact that Craig and Adrian and Sean and everybody, they're working hard upstairs.
Just to stay in those comments, you kind of mentioned that there's no need to panic or press the panic button, and that could be portrayed maybe as complacent, but
sure.
It could also be composure. So how would you differentiate that, and what would panic look like? What would a moment of the sky's falling would look like?
Panic would be playing Pedro de la Vega before he's ready and he gets another injury. Panic would be, changing the formation because, what we've done hasn't worked. Panic would be, signing a player that doesn't fit the, culture of our club. Panic would be signing a player that doesn't help the squad. That could be panic.